Aloha, my name is Jennifer Valenzuela and I'm an artist here on Maui in Hawaii. I am going to share with you some of my paintings today. My paintings I call imagined landscapes, and they are inspired directly by the landscapes here on Maui, as well as the myths and the cultural teachings of our ancient Hawaiian ancestors. In my pieces, I utilize all of the elements of art, but today I want to talk to you specifically about the use of line. Line, when used intentionally, is very powerful, and it starts at the very beginning with a sketch. So here's an example of one of my sketches. In a sketch, you're able to experiment with the variety of line. You're able to create space, and you're able to create the initial composition with form and shape. From there, I utilize line throughout all of the layerings with my paint, as well as using charcoal. So behind me, you can see how I've utilized line. And these are finished pieces. They have epoxy on them, so they're a little shiny. But I use line very intentionally, small lines, larger lines that create form and shape to move the eye around the painting. I use line to create pattern, to create rhythm. Line is very important in my compositions because I really love working with all of those different patterns and the way that line can be used to move the eye around specifically. So my question to you is, what type of lines do you like to use intentionally in your pieces?
Wow, Jennifer Valenzuela's artwork is amazing. I love how she uses line to take our eye around the artwork. You can take a journey just by tracing where your eye goes. What does it look at? And then where does it go next? This is where my eye flows. It keeps staying in the picture. And so my eye doesn't wander off to something else. Now you try. Keep your finger tracing with what you're seeing. Keep looking. Keep looking. Wow, did you notice anything you hadn't noticed yet? So one of the most important lines in this painting is the horizon. You've probably seen that line at the beach. When you look out at where the ocean ends and the sky begins, there's that horizontal line. I'm going to start with that, but I want my eye to stay on the paper, so I need to do something else that goes in a different direction, like those trees there. I'm going to make some tall vertical lines. They're almost straight, little bit wiggly, and I'm going to turn them into palm trees with some more lines. I'm going to think, well, what other lines has she used that makes her piece interesting? I really like those oval shapes down by the bases of the trees. And I think, well, I also want some island shapes there. How about something in the foreground there and something far away? This is an imaginary landscape, so it doesn't have to make sense. It's about making something interesting that keeps the eye on the paper. And I need something over here, so how about something that's like a rainbow or the wind coming across? And another vertical so that my eye will keep going around, and it reminds me of the other trees I have on the other side of the paper. And some little circles. Hers look like OPE in her picture. Mine might be more like bubbles. And so I continue to add interesting lines that bring my eye around. And I like these bars across. They might turn into thick lines. And I'm seeing, does my eye keep going around and around? Will that make people who look at this find this artwork to be interesting, because their eyes going to stay on the picture rather than get distracted and run off? Think I have it? Now, it's time to add color. What sort of color do you have around? I have pens and I have colored pencils. Those are great to use. If you have crayons or paint, those might be great too. But having something to outline your lines to begin with, to go over the lines with markers, is a great way to start. And so I've sped up the film here because I really spent a lot of time coloring this. I was intentional with every mark that I made. Jennifer Valenzuela used that word intentional too. It means that you thought about every choice you made before you did it. You don't just throw the color on and then deal with it later. You think, where will this look best? And then you do it. So here I am being intentional with how I outlined with markers. I'm not really coloring in much. Mostly I'm just using more lines to make this come together. But then you know what? There is all that white there. Maybe there's some spots to fill in with lines, like the sky there. So while I'm being intentional about where I put more lines with my markers, I'm thinking about what's going to look interesting. I'm thinking about how they move my eye around the picture. And then I think when I've got it, I'm going to erase all the pencil marks that I put originally because now there's the markers and color pencil. Oh, what a great way to fill in the white in between all the marker lines. And I can put colors that are similar to the markers, or I can put colors that are different than the markers in those areas. So this imaginary landscape can be full of color, creativity, and an imagination so that when people look at it, they find it beautiful, interesting, and inspiring. And I keep looking at it thinking, well, what else can I add? Maybe a couple more lines with the colored pencils. Maybe I need a little bit of red there. Ooh, that one needs to be brighter. And that mountain needs a little green in it and a little bit darker there. I started lightly with a colored pencil, but now I'm making it a little bit darker in areas, a little bit more interesting. And here's my finished piece. How are you going to use line to create an imaginary landscape? I can't wait to see it.